here and waiting so patiently for me to arrive. Good morning, Eleanor. Good morning, Karen. And good morning, Summer Star. Hey, nice to see you again. Oh yeah, I'm glad you found ChatGPT useful. Um, I'm finding it so useful. I got a video the other day about training it. So if you own a business, you can train it to understand your business better, and then it can help you more with more tips and stuff. Good morning, Rachel. How lovely to see you all. So welcome. For those of you who've been here before, I think we've got a few people here who've been here before. Welcome to this live today. Um, if you've not come across me before, you maybe don't know that this month, it is now August, I have no idea what the heck happened to July. Did anybody notice July? Just kind of blinked and July was finished. And here we are in August already. I don't know if you notice, folks, but the years go faster and faster and faster. Every single year it seems to get faster. Um, but this month we're exploring relationships. And I did actually notice when I was looking back through my content, and we had a little look at relationships in April. But this is, well, I don't think you can ever stop exploring relationships from this perspective because there's always more to see. And I've had a gift this morning of an experience which I will be sharing with you shortly because this is it with the human experience. I'm still having a really quite thorough human experience because I still go up and down all the time, and I still have my moments. And I had a little moody moment with Bruce this morning, which I'll share with you soon, which really gifted this topic. It kind of gifts into this topic that we're going to talk about this morning. So this morning we're going to talk about unleashing authentic connections and embracing your true self. But before we do that, please, the rest of you, I think everybody has said hello so far. I've only got a few people here at the moment. It's quite early in the morning. Let me know where in the world you are, because we've got people that tend to turn up from all over the world. And some people in the early hours of the morning or very late at night who clearly have a different sleep pattern to me because I'm a very early to bed and early to rise person. Although I woke up at 5 o'clock this morning and went back to sleep for an hour and a half. So that's quite major. Good morning, Kathy. Lovely to see you here. Karen's in the UK. Have you got drizzle as well, Karen? It's just a bit moody this morning. It's not very August at all, although who knows what August in the UK is supposed to look like because it never quite looks the way we would love it to, does it? So let's tell you a little bit about me. Very windy. Oh, well, at least that means it might blow some new, more wonderful weather in, Karen. Hey, maybe. So good morning. So just to let you know a bit about me. My name is Claire Downham. I'm known as the Queen of Calm. Been a teacher here on Insight Timer for I don't know really how long, but this year I've really upped my content and stuff on here. So please do go and follow me if you don't follow me already on Insight Timer, and check out everything I have to say about how I help people. Maybe you're one of those people who like my help. And I have a link in bio there that's got all sorts of bits and pieces where you can go and connect with me more, have conversations with me and things like that. So please do check that out too. Um, I'm actually really in a place of pondering what I am. I mean, I'm a human being, but what I am in terms of my role in life at the moment, because I call myself a human potential catalyst. But then people say, well, are you a coach? Are you? What are you? And I'm actually studying the Institute of Leadership and Management Coaching and Mentoring course at the moment because for fun, I want to write 5,000 word assignments. But what I'm noticing is from that exploration, I'm probably a mentor who uses coaching techniques sometimes because I do use questioning a lot to help people. But perhaps I'm a mentor because I have been on this journey from burnout through intense self-development to the antidote to self-development, really, which is this three principles understanding. And so I feel like I've been on a journey and I can take other people on that same journey. And I do feel like the revealing of potential is what ends up happening as a result of that. Because first of all, you're less likely to be burning out. And it is getting silly now with the number of women in particular, because it does affect women more than men does burnout. The number of women who are burning out at a rate of knots, and that doesn't need to happen. But then how many women are caught up in endless hours of self-development? So let me know if you're here partly because you've tried everything to feel better. You've tried everything to have better relationships. You've tried everything to feel more calm, to have less anxiety, feel less stress, etc., etc. And you feel like you're just at the end of your capacity to try anything else. And the joy of this understanding is that the invitation is to listen and to learn. And that's it. There's nothing to do. You don't have to go off and do anything. So, Karen, you say you're still in burnout mode. I'm so sorry to see that. Yeah, I don't know how long it takes to properly recover from burnout because it's pretty physiologically hard work, isn't it? Yeah, it took me. I'd say I'm okay now. I can do. I went through a phase where I couldn't do very much without being absolutely shattered. But then I don't know what that was. Menopause, adrenal burnout, underactive thyroid, blah blah blah. However, this conversation has changed a lot of my physical symptoms, just my relationship with them. So it turns out you can have a lot of symptoms or a lot of physiology stuff and still have a nice experience of life, I'm finding. So, Kathy, you're on leave this week. Oh, you work for the NHS, so bless you. Thank you for all you do. And your intention this week is for self-care. That sounds lovely. I'd love to know what you're going to get up to. Listening to this, I hope you see this as part of that journey. And I think self-care is part of what I do every day, but it comes from the present moment. So this morning, I did a very quick, like 11-minute yoga with Adrienne. I absolutely love her. On YouTube, because I knew I wanted to come and be ready to do this, and but I still did a bit of something. And if it's not absolutely sighing it down, I'll probably get out for a walk at some point. Excuse me, but there's no rigidity to it anymore. There's no, well, I must do this and this and this and this in order to be okay. It's like, what do I fancy doing? What do I feel like my body's asking for? Do I need to stand at my desk for a while because I'm, sat too long? Do I need to move about? Do I need to make a cup of tea? It's not so rigid as it used to be. So today we're going to explore. So what else do we need to say? Oh, so yeah, hello to my profile, follow me. So we've now got four. I've now got 4 courses on Insight Timer, folks, and that means I made one a month since. When did I start? August, July, June, May. So May, June, July, and August. I've made a course each month for 4 months, and when you bear in mind, do explore my content on productivity, because if you bear in mind that I used to really struggle with productivity and getting distracted and procrastinating, and now I don't really so much. And that's all while doing a 5,000 word assignment as well. So, so I've got 3 courses on Insight Time, which I encourage you to check out. Calm, Balance, and Clarity with Ease, Revealing Your Full Potential with the 3 Principles. Stress to Success, which is a 3 Principles approach to effortless productivity. And this new one, which came out on Friday, Creating harmonious connections and enhancing relationships with the 3 Principles. And what I'm loving about this course already is, and this is why I was a little bit late, is that I've got lots of questions coming in on the course platform, and I absolutely love that opportunity to engage in conversation with you. So do check out the courses if you want to find out more about relationships through the 3 Principles. And the subjects I explore in these sessions, in the live sessions, are different. There's something different in the course. And I also think the nice thing about the course is you can listen to it again and again and again and again and keep listening to it. You've got access, as far as I know, you have live access, don't you? So those courses, once you've done them, you can go back and listen to it again. And I think that's a key thing with the 3 Principles, is listening again. It's really important. So I can see a few more people have come in. So good morning from the UK, from drizzly Farsley in West Yorkshire. I'm back home again for a couple of weeks. I'm going to be home and then I'm going to be off in the motorhome for about 2.5 weeks. So most of these sessions, well, all these sessions will be live from Trevor, who will be in York and then in Aberdeen. So we're heading up the country to Scotland. If you don't know, if you're not from the UK, you won't know. Perhaps that Aberdeen is on the east coast of Scotland, so we'll be up there. So, what else? Yeah, just to remind you that these sessions are brought to you via donation. I don't get paid for turning up here. It'll be 4 times this week. So if you are able to make a donation to support me in spreading the love of the 3 principles as far and wide as I possibly can, then please do make those donations. Thank you so much. So, unleashing authentic connections and embracing your bi. I think bi embracing. I put a colon there. So let's start with this kind of. Well, let's start with my little story about this morning and what observations that brought to mind. Because really, when I share from this 3 principles perspective, all I can do is share what I've seen and how it's impacting me on a day-to-day basis. Through sharing what I've seen, I'll help you to see a little bit too. Because relationships can really be, I was going to say they can kill or cure us, can't they? Like, has anybody else thought about that? I've never said it like that before, but they're such a big part of our lives, aren't they? And if we're having difficulties in our relationships, and it doesn't matter where they are. So in this month-long exploration of relationships, there's no difference really. There's different things that come up, but in terms of how our experience of another person is being created, there's no difference between your love relationship, your partner, shall we say, your relationship with your children. There's different thinking. Oh, your relationship with your friends, your parents, the rest of your family. There's different thinking about all of them, but it's still thought that's creating our reality of them, that's creating our version of them. And so it doesn't really matter what relationships are problematic to you. We will be exploring them from all of them from this 3 principles perspective, and the things I share will be applicable across all of your relationships, no matter what relationships you're actually struggling with at the moment. Because as I say, if they are off, if they're out of kilter, it can kill or cure us, can't it, really? Kill or cure us, but you know what I mean? If we're in a wonderful relationship, it can feel like that is, the best thing in the world, can't it? But if our relationships are difficult, then that can be a huge part of what seems to be causing suffering in our lives, can't it? So this morning, first of all, I was in the bathroom chatting to Bruce, and he was telling me how his ex, who we have some, if you've been here before, you'll know about my relationship with Bruce's ex, or lack of it, really. She had sent she sends strange emails that Bruce and I find quite difficult to understand, first of all, because they're grammatically quite challenging. But also, I'm going to say they're bossy and controlling. That's my perspective on them. I don't know, maybe if you read them, you wouldn't see that, but Bruce and I see it from that. This is how it's going to be. This is what you've got to do. She tells us what to do. So we had another one of those this morning. So I was already a bit riled up. And then I went out onto the landing, and the vitamin, we have these vitamin B12 tablets that dissolve under your tongue, and they were at the top of the stairs. Now they live in the bathroom, because what I like to do is I brush my teeth and then I put the B12 under my tongue and I leave it there, because it takes a long time to dissolve. I won't be buying them again. I prefer the drops that go under your tongue, because you only have to hold those there for 10 seconds and then you can get on with your day. Whereas I can find I suddenly think, oh, it's still there. And it's like a little grainy, horrible tablet. Anyway, That's another story. So they were at the top of the stairs. So Bruce is in the bathroom, went back in the bathroom with them in my hand, like shaking them at him. What are these? What are these doing at the top of the stairs? And he went, I've said they belong in here. Don't move things, because I have this thing about Bruce having a thing of moving my things. so already, can you hear how there's a little bit of thinking about it? And then he said, "Oh, I thought they were Ethan's vitamins." So then, this is all me observing this now. My thinking went, "Do you think I'm an idiot then?" I didn't say this out loud. Like in my head, I like have this thing about I know that a lot of my things come from my perfectionist traits, and if people don't, I think people don't think I'm perfect. That's a bit of a trigger thing for me, like my thinking, nothing to do with the outside world. So I waved them at him and I said, "Well," and he said, "I thought they were Ethan's vitamins." Why would I put Ethan's vitamins in the bathroom? It's where I went. And then luckily I had to come downstairs and do this. I managed to just walk away. And oh, I've got to go now, I said. And when I walked away, I just thought, oh my goodness, how much separation can we so easily create? And I know you've got your own stories of that snippiness in the moment where we just forget, don't we? We forget that we are not, that we're not, that we're not separate from other people. And afterwards, I kind of was able to, from this perspective of what I would call my true self, could observe all of that craziness. Now, in the moment, I didn't. In the moment, I got snappy. And I will go and I haven't had time to go and apologise yet, but I will go and apologise to him because I do know that I was lost in a moment of silly thinking. And that's pretty much, like when I talk about your true self, that's pretty much the opposite of it. This, where we are in our psychology and creating, like not deliberately. This is not you need to get better at thinking or you need to do something about this. It's not that. It's seeing that it's how it happens, doesn't it? That sometimes we are in our psychology. Now, how do we know? How do we know that we're not embracing our true self in that moment? Well, we know because it feels horrible. Have you noticed? Like, I felt icky and itchy and not nice. And I didn't speak to Bruce nicely because I spoke from that place. And I had loads of stories, like the stories, watch out for the stories. I had loads of stories about what he was thinking about me, about what he was thinking. And it was really interesting for me to notice that actually where I went was, he thinks I'm an idiot. Like, just this is all moments, seconds worth of stuff. But why would I put Ethan's vitamin? You know, like in my head, I'm going, why would I put Ethan's vitamins in the bathroom? Am I stupid? What? But all that's happened is he's seen a green packet, very similar. They're a similar packet, very similar packet, and he's seen that green packet and gone, oh, it needs to go downstairs because it's for Ethan. And he's not got any story about me. So let's talk a bit about this sense of this true self that I'm encouraging you to embrace. And that is that's not, you know, that thinking and the horrible feelings that come with it are not who you really are. I've recorded a short, like, podcast length session with this same title because I think it's helpful. for you to have something you can go back and listen to. But what I said in that was, if you let's imagine. Well, let's talk about the true self. Let's find a metaphor. What in your life is something that feels more solid? And of course, we're not solid because we're only here for a short, temporary bit of time. Like, we're not solid, are we? But there's some stuff in our day-to-day experience that is more there all the time, more the same for all humans. And that piece is the awareness. Like the person, the essence that was observing all that playing out with bitterness debacle upstairs. That's the truth of who we are. That's the essence. That's the true self. The thinking that brings with it those horrible feelings, that's transient. That's like the clouds that I would love to say are moving across the sun. They're not really moving, but they don't look like they're moving, do they, today? Well, they don't here. It's very thick and dark. But they are. And what's more there all the time is the sun. The sun's there all the time. Even when it doesn't look like it's there, it's still there. And the clouds are passing. And that's the transient piece, isn't it? That's what's passing over you. That's your thinking. So, Rachel, you get cross with yourself when you react to something and take it out on your partner. Bless you. Me too. You know you're acting something outside the relationship, but then bring it in. And yeah, Rachel, like the thing there is compassion for yourself, is self-compassion. Because like now, like if I'd have come down here and I probably would have been struggling. I've been very kind of feeling bad and feeling guilty about snapping at Bruce and really kind of upset with myself and guilty. I think you're talking a bit about guilt there, Rachel. Shame even. Then I'm going to be all in on myself and in here and feeling horrible. Whereas, like when I go, do you know what? That was it's so interesting to watch this psychology, to be in this place of awareness, and then go, well, in that moment it made sense, and not I don't feel bad about myself, and I can also then feel more compassion towards Bruce, who just looked at a green packet and thought it was a different packet of vitamins. Well, then after this, I will go straight upstairs and say sorry to him because I feel good. I don't feel horrible about myself. Because, Rachel, that's it, isn't it? That's another piece of this. It's another piece of thinking. I hope you can hear that in the way it's meant. It's another, this is a lovely place to explore the layers of this. So if you're new here and you don't like lives where people cry randomly, like I am now, then you're in the wrong place. Because it happens, doesn't it, folks? And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Apart from I do need to start purchasing waterproof mascara, which I don't have at the moment. Tropic mascara, which is all very natural, but then runs down my face. So yes, Kathy, that's beautiful. It's like being a curious observer of the situation and not beating ourselves up. I mean, it's like the clouds, isn't it? Like we could sit here, and I used to, when I thought I could control the weather, or that it was worth getting mardy about the weather. We could sit here, couldn't we, and moan about the weather? Like, I could sit and go, oh my God, look at the clouds. I keep looking in the window. I've got a big patio door here, and all I can see is just white clouds. It's like, you know, those winter days when you just think, oh, it's going to snow. It's like that. But yeah, let's just, yeah, and if it was fluffy shaped clouds, we could just lie on our backs, couldn't we, and watch them all going across. Don't know why I'm so emotional this morning. Is there a full moon or a new moon or some moon happening? Oh, Venus. Venus is in retrograde. I read that on Instagram the other day. Full of facts, Instagram, isn't it? Maybe that's what it is. Apparently relationships, it's supposed to create relationship shifts. It's Venus in retrograde. Anyway, we're not doing, I look at that stuff lightly too. Yeah, curious observer of what people say about planets and moons and things. Yeah, I love that, Kathy. It is. And I think that's a space where things fall away as well. When we just kind of go, oh, that's really interesting. Like, I went to the circus on Friday. This is going somewhere, honestly. It was really good, actually. It was a circus near Scarborough. So if you're anywhere near Scarborough, you're going to Scarborough, the circus is fabulous. It was very good, very good. It's so strange because I think the last time I went to a circus, my kids were probably little, and there were probably animals in it. And there's no animals in circuses anymore, not even horses or dogs. Well, this is a Brazilian circus, so maybe it would just be a lot of faff to bring animals across from Brazil. Anyway, so I was sitting in the circus and something had happened. I can't even remember what happened before the circus, but I had this massive revelation, and I will be exploring this during this month, around perfectionism and how that has been for me a real difficulty, how I treat myself, but how it comes out in how I think other people should be. You know, like that whole interaction with Bruce was all about perfectionism. First of all, why isn't he perfect and can't he read a packet that says B12 and doesn't say kids' vitamins on it? And then he doesn't think I'm perfect because he thinks I'm stupid enough to put Ethan's vitamins in the bathroom. It just like, but I love that what Kathy said, because that's what we're looking towards here. Because the true you, your true self, the truth of who you are is the observer, is that curious observer. Is that person, instead of going, like, this is the difference for me. It's instead of going, oh my God, like Rachel's saying, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Why have I done that? I should know better, and I've been on this spiritual journey forever, and I'm doing all this work on myself, and why am I not able to control every aspect of me by now? For goodness sake, you know, like that. That is totally how I used to be with myself. And I think that the increased calm in my life is coming from this other place, the curious observer, which is the opposite of that, which is, well, that's really interesting. What kind of thinking was behind? Like, not too caught up in it, but just that kind of, oh, yeah, there's a lot of story going on there. Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah. Oh, well, that's just how it is right now. Isn't it interesting? And can you hear? I hope you can hear, Rachel, and everybody else. There's a lightness around that. There's just a, yeah, there's the curious observation of it. And then you're not, and then from that place, you're much more likely to say sorry to the other person. It's just because it's just more natural, because you're not feeling terrible and you're not caught up in your own stuff. Yes, Kathy, when you step back, you see the absurdity in it. You can actually laugh about it, which lightens, lightens our monkey mind. Absolutely. I would say that is part of what comes out of that second thing I just demonstrated there is lightness. There's just, oh my God, off I go again. You know, there's just that kind of like how you would observe a child as they learn to do something. Like most of us in this room would not like shout at a child when they were doing something wrong as they learnt to do something new. We'd just be light with them, wouldn't we? And if you're starting out on this journey of, but looking at life in a different way, sometimes you're going to see it and sometimes you're not. I actually have a lesson in my Constant Calm program, which is called Now You See It, Now You Don't. Because some days you will, not some days, actually, some days there's no day. There's no day that I'm just like that all day. You ask Bruce. I should really get Bruce to come and do one of these with me, shouldn't I, really? We could do a double act. And moment by moment, see it, and now you don't see it. And then you see it, and then you don't. Like, I didn't see it when I was rude to Bruce about the vitamins. And then as soon as I walked away, I saw it. And then other times he'll do something and I'll just be like, okay, I'll see it before it comes out of my mouth. Not that often though. So here's the so what we're doing here is looking in a direction and understanding these truths about how humans function. And then sometimes seeing it in our own life and sometimes not. But, like Kathy's been pointing to, coming at all of that from a deep place of compassion, from a deep place of kindness to ourselves, from a deep place of self-love. I mean, you are love, but from a place of so let's look at what's going on when we're sort of disconnected, we're not in that authentic connection place to somebody else. Well, there's one thing going on and one thing only, and that's thought. And how I often see this is when we think about oneness, that's one of the things we'll talk about in the trip principles is oneness. Think about oneness. Think about the connection between us and every other thing on the planet. This energy. And physicists now, this is science. It isn't just spirituality. It's not just woo-woo. It's more than that. There's a connection between us all. And that can't not be authentic because it's the truth of who we are, this connection. And then as human beings, in that is this true self, is this connection. It's all one thing. Like that's what we're looking towards, seeing that's all one thing. True self, the and the authentic connection, they're not two different things. They're the same thing. All this, I talk about it being a diamond inside. It's this diamond inside. And then as human beings, and you can before I've answered that, but you can see that in a baby, can't you? You can see that. You look into the eyes of a baby and you're lost, aren't you, in love? It doesn't have to be your baby or a baby you know that well. It's just something in the eyes of that baby. And then we learn to think. That baby learns to think, don't they? And, very soon that creation, that illusion of separation is created. We move away from the truth of who we are, and we move away from this authentic connection with other people. And we start to see ourselves as separate. And that's why, little children, what's one of the first words they learn to say? Me, mine, my, I. they learn those words pretty early on. So it's seeing that this illusion of separation is created from very, very early on in our lives. So when you get decades down the road from that, how real does that look? Wow, it looks like the truth, doesn't it? There's a me and there's a you lot. And there's a me and a Bruce. There's a me and a Bruce's ex. And there's a me and my mother. There's a me and my children. There's all these separate people, my friends. There's just all this separation. And I almost see that like this, like it's there's the oneness, you know. And then we start to think and we just go like that, move further and further away from each other. But there's no real movement happening. That's just a way of describing it. We're still connected. It's like, you know, I've just got the image of a tree then. You know, when a tree starts growing, it's a little sapling, isn't it? Like it's just one twig sticking out of the ground. That's it. And that's connected to the ground. And there's a root. And that's the whole. Everything that tree is going to be is going to come from there, isn't it? And then the tree spreads. It's, you know, it grows and there's more branches and more little branches of branches and little branches of branches of branches. And then there's leaves and there might be flowers on some trees. But the root of what the tree is still there. The truth of who you are is still there. And sometimes, and you will experience that throughout your day. There's moments of calm, there's moments of peace, there's moments when we're with somebody we love and we feel so connected to them. You notice that only happens when you're quiet in your head. Because even I was thinking, like Bruce and I sometimes just laugh like ridiculous. We just say something. I'm quite sharp-witted, so I'll say something often. And we'll both just literally be holding each other and laughing and laughing and laughing. And that is calm. That is connection. That is authentic. And in that moment, there's just this sharing of energy. The words are there, the sharp-wittedness is there. That momentary quip of thinking, but then there's just a falling into laughter. And so we start off connected and we separate through our thinking. So now we've got a planet full of humans, a few too many actually, possibly. It's getting busier, isn't it? And there's, you know, I don't know how many people are on the planet. It's going up very, very fast now. 7.8 billion, is there something like that? Probably going on for 8 billion. So now we still have this oneness, this connection. But then we've got 8 billion ways of thinking. Like that. If I had 8 billion fingers. Creating that separation, creating the illusion of separation. Creating these two illusions really, like the illusion of the self. I'm my thinking, I'm this kind of personality type or that kind of personality type. I was reading, I read a couple of, or quite a few of Steve Chandler's books. I quite like his book. And I can't remember which one it is. It might be in Right Now. And he talks about, he's working with this woman, he's talking to this woman about weight. So she's got some issues around food and eating and stuff. And she says, well, you know, I eat really healthily. I eat, you know, get lots of salad and fresh veg and high protein, blah, blah, blah. And then she just says, but my problem is I'm a cake person. And so she says, and so because she sees herself as a cake person, whenever cake is presented or she walks past it, she's already like stepping into this persona. And we do that, don't we? Who hasn't got? Well, I'm becoming more aware of them, actually, the labels that I've given myself. Because they're a lovely self-fulfilling prophecy, aren't they? So we've created this illusion. Well, we haven't created the illusion. The illusion just got created because we experienced stuff and we learnt to think in a particular way. And that is sort of covered over the true self. It's covered over the essence of who we are. It's covering over our connection. And so it's really the creation of all these separate selves that has separated us and means that we've lost this this authentic connection. And you can see it, if you put small children together, they just kind of rub along with each other. They might have a momentary, falling out over a toy or whatever. Well, because it's mine, that one. But there's not as much, they're not arguing about vitamins in packets. And so you might be thinking, well, what can I do about this? What can I do about this separation? Well, your system is set up to let you know when it's going on. Like this morning, I was not in a place of authentic connection with Bruce. I was caught up in who I think I am and what he's thinking about me and what he's thinking and why he's doing that wrong and why does he think I might have done that stupid thing and blah, blah, blah. Anybody else familiar with that? But it fell away pretty quickly because I know this is what we're pointing to. So I whichever layer, Rachel, looks the best one to get curious about first, I feel like it's the getting cross with yourself to start with. Because you probably noticed that feels awful. Well, who likes feeling cross? I don't think anybody does, do they? I used to think I quite liked being angry. I don't. It's not good, is it? And that's your, as you start to, like Kathy said, curiously observe that, become curiously aware of it. What's the story behind being cross with ourselves? A multi-layered one, I imagine. I know mine's about perfectionism, usually. I should be better than this by now. Anybody else got that one going on? And so we just gently observe it. And we kind of go, oh, I see. And as we do that, we start to realize more and more that there's just some types of thinking that feel rubbish. And being cross with ourselves feels rubbish for a reason, Rachel, because it's to let you know that you've got rubbish thinking. And I see this more and more, and I've shared this quite a bit at the moment, that's the button on the light on the train of thought. You're on the train, pulls into the station. Do you get off or do you stay on that train of thought? Well, when you realize that train of thought is just full of suffering, the button lights up on the side of the train, on the door, and it says open, and you can press that button and get off. As soon as you realize it's not coming from anywhere else but that train of thought, you get off. It's back to the ruler. Anybody who's new? I don't know where my ruler is. I can't see my ruler. I don't know where my ruler is. Has Bruce moved my ruler? I think it's in the box over there anyway. You know, you'll have all seen me. I could hit myself on the head with a glass coaster. That's quite painful. Yeah, you know, I'm not going to actually hit myself with that, but, you know, I'm hitting myself on the head with this butterfly coaster. And, you know, I'm telling you about my headache. And, you know, I've done everything about headaches. I've drunk loads of water, sniffed lavender oil and blah, 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 blah. Still can't get rid of my headache. Well, you're going to tell me to stop hitting myself on the head with the pointy edge of a coaster, aren't you? It's not got a cup of tea on it yet. That's the problem with that coaster. And that's for us to get off the train. Your system is just trying to tell you, get off the train. Stop. So, Rachel, you've got the awareness to know you're getting cross. Oh, bless you. And then you go into the feeling of not feeling good enough. So that's when you're trying to catch to get off the train then. Yeah, I think, Rachel, that I think for me, that's been huge in this last couple of years, this last few years of being in this conversation, has been get off the train at the point at which you're beating yourself up, that you're feeling bad about yourself for doing. So I feel like that's the first. It's like the first layer is I've reacted to something and I've been unkind to someone. That's definitely me, especially with Bruce. And then what used to happen was, you know, me. Oh God, I'm rubbish. I shouldn't be doing that. What's wrong with me? I'm not good enough. I should know. Like when I first get into this conversation, even I should know better. Now I've come across the 3 principles, why don't I already know how to stop this happening? And actually, like, that piece has been transformational in our relationship because I go and say sorry so much quicker. Like I say, do you know what? Like, I'll go upstairs now and I'll tell you almost exactly what I'll say to Bruce. I'll say, I'm really sorry I snapped with you about the vitamins. I was wound up about that email. And already my head was a bit rubbish, and so I snapped at you. So I'm sorry. And then it'll be over with. And Bruce will probably say, I'm sorry I didn't read that vitamin pack. You know, I know he'll say sorry, probably say sorry too. Not that he really needs to say sorry, but he probably will. And we'll have a cuddle and a kiss and we'll be fine. But it's like to create the space to do that, like you're saying, Rachel, we have to get off the I'm not good enough train of thought. And trust me, you know, I was saying the other day on here, excuse me, I used to do all this work around I am enough and I am good enough. And I used to have I am enough written all over the mirrors in the house. And I feel now it's almost like the opposite. Like, just notice when you've got thoughts that say you're not enough and then get off the train. Now, I don't want you to hear that as a doing. I don't want you to hear that as a trying. I don't want you to hear it as a thing for you to do. But it is a realization that comes as we keep looking in the direction that our feelings are coming from our state of mind and not from anything else. And that if it brings about a rubbishy feeling, it's a rubbishy thought. It's a rubbishy thought if it brings about a rubbishy feeling. Like, there are no mantras in this understanding, but thought and feelings are 2 sides of the same energy. And all the horrible feeling is your magical, clever system saying, hey, do you want to get off this train of thought? Here's a button to press. The door's going to open. Get off. Get off. This is not good. Get off it. Get off it now. Like, that's it. That's all that's going on. Is just this opening up of a space to get off the train. So there's nothing to do until there is something to do. And what occurs for you to do is what makes sense to you. And that's all we're pointing towards here. I will talk about what I do sometimes, but that's not me telling you what to do. Like, I have had a little interaction with somebody on the course platform today for the relationship course, creating harmonious connections and enhancing relationships with the 3 principles. And yeah, the question was around, if I do this and my partner doesn't do this, what to do? And I was like, well, when I answered, I said, well, I hope you haven't heard me telling you to do anything. This is descriptive, not prescriptive. It really is like getting the instruction manual for your head, for your entire human experience, really, not just your head. And that's it. It's like anything that you learn to do, where you start off clunky and awkward, like learning to drive a car. Start off, it's clunky and awkward, isn't it? And you need somebody else to keep telling you what to do, and somebody else to keep reminding you to look in your mirror, keep looking in your mirror. When was the last time you looked in the mirror? And have you got both hands on the steering wheel? And watch out for this and look out for that person who's about to pull in front of you. You've got that in your head all the time. Like, that's me with this understanding. I'm just keeping on saying, watch out for this and watch out for that, watch out for this. But then after a while, you don't need that anymore. Now, it still doesn't mean that you're a perfect driver. Sometimes you'll pull out in front of somebody a bit close, or sometimes, like, you'll drive too close to somebody and you'll need to realise and back up, and sometimes you might speed, and then, you get a ticket, and then you go, oh, I'm going to watch my speeding, and I'm going to bring some more awareness to my speed. Like, that is going to be, your human experience is going to be like your driving experience. You're going to drop the ball sometimes. You're not going to see it in the moment sometimes. But then you can be kind to yourself, and that's okay. So, Rachel, yeah, you get that. You think it's too easy to think you need to do something rather than just be aware, as others and yourself have said. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you so much. Lovely words. Yeah. And I think, do you know what, Rachel? I do think that is because we've been told to do things, haven't we? Like, that's not your fault. That's what all of us have been guided towards. That is, to be doing things, to be fixing things, to be sorting things out. And particularly as women, I think that's massive. It's massive. The call to action was not, you can do everything. It was, you can do anything. But we heard, you can do everything, including fix yourself. And if you're not doing something about how awful you are as a person, I'm being sarcastic now, by the way. If you're not doing something about how awful you are as a person, then what's wrong with you? You should be working on yourself, and you should be fixing yourself, and you should be better than you are now. And if anybody's watched the Barbie movie, I feel like I'm about to break into the speech. But that it's you have to be perfect, but you've got to work on yourself while you're being perfect. And it's just like, no, stop it. You don't have to do any of that. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put the stop it video in the because I've mentioned it before. I'm going to put it in the group. The group is called Powered by Calm. You can join me there and come and say hello. And I will put the video, because I think I can put links in there. I think you can't put links on here, but I can put links on there. So do come and join me in the group, and I will put the link to the stop it video, because it's funny, and it really does point a little bit to what I'm saying here about, once you realise that some awful thinking makes you feel awful, then you will stop it. You get off the train, press the button, it's lit up. The button's lit up on the door. You can press it and get off. It's not always lit up, is it? When you're driving along on the train at 100 miles an hour, the button's not lit up, is it? But then it lights up and you can get off the train. Oh, Tia, yeah, it's so true. It's so hard to just be. And if you spend time just being, sometimes people feel like they have to advise you on what to do, especially because of the pressures of life. Yes, Tia, I will put that video in the group. Yeah, and I don't know, there is like a balance, I think, between just being. Like, I'm not advocating sitting around just doing nothing. I don't ever sit around and do nothing because I like being busy, and I like creating things, and I like being on here. And of course, I spend 5 hours a week talking to you on here, and I'm creating other content for here, and I'm doing courses. And that's a good point to remind you that this session is brought to you via donation. I don't get paid for this, but the other way you can support me, of course, is go through some of my courses. Enjoy that content. Go listen to some of my other content, and connect with me. This is a great space for me to hang out, to deliver stuff, and engage in some conversation, because there's a bit of conversation in the chat. But my favourite thing, of course, is to connect with people in a conversation, a proper conversation, and that's that's what you can find out more about in the link in my bio. So always happy to hop in a call with people to explore this further, especially if you're kind of thinking, oh, this is making sense, or it's making no sense. I see this woman and she seems to be very sure of herself. So have a chat with her and see what she says. So let's just talk a little bit about what we've got coming up over the next few days. So I'm going to look on my phone because I need to look at my inside time curriculum where they are listed. Where is it? Here we go. So over the next week, well, actually, I'm going live again today at 4:15 p.m. That's British Summer Time. And we're going to talk about taming the inner critic. So if you're available, Rachel, that might be one for you and other people here. Me, definitely. I'm going to be talking for myself in that session, and cultivating self-compassion. So that's a really good session. Later today, 4:15. Do two today, so I didn't do one yesterday. I like to do one around 4 o'clock once a week. And then tomorrow, 2nd of August, at 11:05. Remember, these are all BST because I'm in the UK. From perfectionism to authenticity, and it's all about embracing imperfections. And remember, these are all about what is it we're bringing to our relationships from this. So some of the stuff is very similar to when we explored productivity, but it's looking at our relationships through a similar lens. And then 111 on Friday, empowered communication and listening with presence. So that's what's coming up this week. And don't forget, there's a course now, Creating Harmonious Connections and Enhancing Relationships with the 3 Principles. And what I love about the courses, and that's why I was late this morning, is, I get a chance to interact with you there, and we can have proper conversation, which is really good. And I love there's a little voice note facility, so I can answer questions via voice note, which is really good. So that's what I'm going to go do now. I'm going to go see if there's any more questions on the platform and answer those. I hope you will join me again. A reminder again that these sessions are brought to you by donation. So if you are able to make a donation, I'm really grateful. And I hope to see you on one of my sessions later this week. Thank you so much for all the little hearts going up the side of the screen. They're lovely. Thank you. They mean a lot to me. And thank you, Eleanor. Thank you, everybody who's contributed today. It's been great to have conversation. I really do like the comments because they help to build up the session to be something that's useful to you. So I hope this has been useful to you. So this has been Unleashing Authentic Connection, Embracing Your True Self. I hope you found this helpful. Everything from a 3 Principles perspective. If you want to just find out a bit more about the 3 Principles, I do have a track that's called What what are the 3 principles and why would they bring more ease to a life? So definitely as a freebie, because I recommend you going and checking out my track on my profile. If you don't already follow me, please do follow me, and then you'll get to know everything that I'm doing and what I'm sharing. There will be a new course. I haven't got a theme for next month yet, but I've got something brewing. So if anybody's got a theme that they'd like me to explore, then please do let me know. So